Hello everyone, I'm Steve. Mark's not home from work yet, and this is Smokeysteveandmarc. Welcome back, and happy Thursday. I'm very happy. I have a 4-day weekend I'm going into. We're closed Veterans Day at my office, so looking forward to a nice bit of respite. Work has been very busy the last 3-4 weeks. It's the last quarter, so everything gets counted all. It's madness. So what I wanted to talk about today, and I've done videos a couple years ago on this, I wanted to touch on how to deal with being an emotional wreck at work. Now, why did this come up now? Well, I've been doing better lately, I have to say. Mental health check-in for the last month. No crying before work, and I've been okay there. But in light of something bigger, this Tuesday, there was an election. Strong feelings from all sorts of people in all sorts of directions. So some people with strong feelings came into work the next day and looked visibly upset. Watery-eyed, some of it, for a lot of different reasons. So it reminded me back to a video I did, it must have been like 4 or 5 years ago, about taking care of yourself while being an emotional train wreck at work. So I wanted to talk about my current self-care with, taking care of myself at work, because I have, in the recent past, woken up bawling, not wanting to go to work. Probably not wanting to go anywhere, period, but work seemed to be the place that day. And then how did I kind of craft a routine around that and then make it safe so if I do melt down at work, there's room for it. So, I can only tell you what works for me. Some of the tools I have won't work for other people depending on your job. Certainly, if you work from home or you're unemployed or you volunteer or anything like that, these can be helpful to you too, just as a sense of hopefully some emotional health. So on starting a day, one of the things that I would recommend, if you have a pet, before you leave the house, if you work outside the home, make a pact with your pet that you're going to see them at the end of the day, and no matter what today is like, they're going to be there when you get home. Because they will. I learned that from having some pets myself. It's nice to give Oscar a little rub on the head. I'm like, all right, we got this, right? I'm gonna see you later. And I leave and come back, and he has no idea how long I've been gone. And, it's like, hey, we made it, we lived. So there's that. Now, I walk to work. A lot of people drive, take public transit. So what I'd like to do to not get my head to wander before going into the office is to pick out either some music or something to listen to on the walk. Some people like to get pumped up on the walk and play club music, and maybe twice a year I like to do that, but otherwise I'm just listening to creators, or I'm listening maybe a little bit of slower music, something like that. And I have my one cigarette of the morning there, so I'm cut down on the nicotine. And if I have a cup of coffee every 2 days, and then once in a while 4 in a day, not as much. Now that helps reduce a little bit of anxiety that I get because nicotine and caffeine are stimulants. And, on a tough day, I gotta throw everything I can at it. So if it means decaf coffee, so be it. So getting into work early is another thing that helps me. It gave me an option to do. So if I do go to work and I do need to be emotional, or I have to kind of try to sweep myself into a pile before the day starts, I can get in before everybody else and kind of get into my office. I can shut the door. Benefit if you have an office door that you can shut. I mean, we have an open door policy, but I shut the door. And just kind of center myself there for the bit. Get my laptop open, get all my toys in place, get my Post-its, plug in all of my electronic devices, and we're there. So now I'm there. I don't start working early because they don't start paying early, but I'm ready to go for 9 o'clock when my day starts. If I'm feeling a little emotional while I'm there, or I'm getting weepy or something like that's happening, I am really close to the bathroom. Right around the corner from my office is the bathroom, so I have one escape there. I could close myself in my office, but if you do that all day, people talk, they knock. Because they're concerned, obviously. They're not just, being nosy. So having a bathroom or a private place I could go to weep a little bit is good if it comes up for any reason. I'm sharing with you because I have bipolar disorder, and a lot of this stuff happens for no freaking reason. It just shows up and I get to cope with it. Timing work is important, depending on what shift you work. And some people are called to other shifts. Mark is more of a second shift person, probably for being a chef all those years. So his active time is between 2 and 11, which is why the videos come out edited at 1 o'clock in the morning, because he's working into the evening doing it. I'm more of a get up in the morning, get all the business of the day done so I can start enjoying the day and chilling out just as soon as possible. So there's that. Oh, also, to make it easier to get out the door on a tough morning, if you think ahead, morning Steve thanks nighttime Steve for a few things. One of them is laying out my clothes in the morning. Too many decisions to make. Then we're dealing with body dysmorphia if I go to put something on and it's too tight, and my guard is low in the morning. So wearing something comfortable, something that I've already picked out, something that I like the way I look in, so that I can be comfortable during an emotional day. So now I'm leaving the house with the comfort of my pet and my wonderful woolen sweaters and whatever's making me feel good with my tunes, and I'm rocking in, get to my spot early, and the day starts. And as soon as the day starts, the place fills with people, and all I want to do is go home and be alone. It's good to have a work buddy or two that you can confide in. Now, not necessarily the same buddies for everything. I have a couple people at work I talk work with, and it's a regular check-in. And then others, we talk life, love, politics, you know, we sit there and solve the world's problems every few days. And it's good to have that little bit of a social connection. I don't have a whole ton of friends that live locally. So being in touch with the people I work with who are friendly is most of my social life. I spend as much time with them, if not more, than I spend with Mark. So I hope there's a good vibe there. So the other challenge that I found with trying to work when you're upset, or work when you're sad, or work when you're crying, is not getting mad at yourself because you're trying to work when you're crying and you're upset. Having boundaries with oneself is important. I toe the line between self-care and self-indulgence. It's a really easy line to fall over. It turns into I'm nurturing myself to I'm babying myself. It's a fine spot. I figure as long as everything on the checklist gets done, we'll just call it keep it on trucking. So having a person to talk to at work is good, one or two people if you can. Having a place to go. I've got the restroom. I also, often enough during the day, need to go to another building. It's kind of a campus where I work. And so there's time to get outside and get some fresh air. So if I need to pick up a set of car keys because I'm going somewhere, or I'm, you know, traveling or going around the block, or I have to pick up mail or something, it's an excuse to get up out of my desk and walk. And yes, I take a little bit of the long way. Not too long, because you don't want to be greedy, but to get a little bit of air, a little bit of sun, to remember there's a world outside of my mental chaos, that life is still happening even though I'm not participating in it as well as I could at the moment. So going out and getting some air was great. On my lunch break, if you get a lunch break. Now, we have to stay kind of close to the office, but I'll go to, there's a hospital catty corner to where I work, get myself a giant Diet Coke because I love soda, and I want a big soda on a big feelings day. Nah, there's your indulgence. So I'll fill that up and then buy it, and then I'll go walk around the neighborhood for a little while, like 2 or 3 blocks, just do a loop, and try to get back to my office by 12:30 because that's when work resumes. And it's another opportunity to put on some tunes, catch up with Mark if you have a texting buddy, a significant other, a friend, a partner, AI, somebody to give a play-by-play if you feel like you need attention during a tough period. So intermittently, sometimes Mark's phone will explode completely with messages from me, all stream of consciousness, all like this. Not one big paragraph, I don't do that, but you'll probably get 6 or 7 of them. And he's reassuring, and that's why I choose to reach out to him if I'm struggling with something. And he's a calming presence. So then I got social support on the phone, and I got the people at work who I'm sort of knowledgeable with, or sort of know well enough to go to with something maybe sort of personal, 1 or 2 folks. Good supervision is good. My supervisors are aware of the fact that sometimes things can get clouded and things can get scary if a person has a mental health concern. You don't even need one to have a crisis, but if you do have one and you're kind of going there, to let them know that this is something that happens to me, to the extent that you're comfortable disclosing. That this is something that happens, this is how I cope with it, do you have any questions, is there anything you need me to do? And that's it. Now, if you work in the kind of environment where they're going to hold that against you, don't bring it up. You only have to talk to HR, if that, for all of your concerns about that kind of thing. But having some people in leadership that I can connect with is good. So that makes me feel safe. It makes me feel like I have a pipeline to my salary and my benefits, and if the work I'm doing is enough to get through all that stuff. Aside from the music at lunch, if I get overwhelmed in the middle of the day, or sometimes in the morning, I'll go onto YouTube. There's 1,000 things, and I'll put in calming music for work. It's this big blue ocean icon. And it sounds like the kind of music they play in hospice. Like it's a little lilting and wind instruments and that kind of stuff, and it repeats itself on a loop. But I find if I put it in, it's one of the only times I can put a noise in and I don't get at all distracted from what I'm doing. I'm actually able to finish some work. So if I need to have an extra little bit of distraction so that I can do the work, having the extra audio going on at the same time, really, really, really helpful. A fidget isn't a bad thing to have. I don't have any with me. I tend to rip up paper clips into 1,000 pieces, but something to give a direction to that kind of energy if it ends up manifesting like this. Temperature control in an office is also important too. It's hot enough to cry sometimes. Lately, temperature control has been ass everywhere in Pennsylvania because it's 30 degrees in the morning and it's 85 in the afternoon. And so a lot of buildings are uncomfortable to be in. You don't know if to bring a jacket or not. So having a little fan or a little heater to make my workspace as comfortable as possible. Because the whole point of all of these is that if I'm having an emotionally kind of delicate time, whether it was inspired, provoked, or showed up for no reason, and I'm still expecting myself to do the things that have to be done in a day like grown-ups do, then I have to find a way to accommodate it. You know, I'm not comfortable throwing in the towel necessarily to just be a victim of the consequences that would happen if I didn't deal with any of the stuff that I deal with. And like I said, you don't have to be, you know, have a mental health concern to go into crisis. Hello, 6 apartments in my last building were going to be, the building was condemned and we were out within half an hour. So everybody went into crisis quickly. You didn't have to have a predisposition for it. I certainly did, and it escalated. I have other benefits though too. I have family support. So I have people that have known me for a really long time. I got lucky. You don't pick your parents, they don't pick their kids, but they ended up being a good natural support. And I think a lot of the things that cushioned me from having some of the consequences closer to like homelessness or anything like that was because I was trying as much as I was failing, and my parents had a concern for my physical health and my mental health and everything, so I stayed in their home. And I was on disability at the time. Now, if I stop doing any of the things I do for treatment, no music, no animals, no good eating, no fresh air, no sunshine, no mantras, no comfy clothes, nothing. None of it. I could probably not be wildly mentally ill, but I think I could stay out of the hospital probably if I just like took my pills and did whatever. Oh, take your medication as directed, by the way. It's tempting sometimes. Oh, I don't want to be all weepy. This one makes me tired. I don't want to be tired. Take it. Your body will thank you in a week when your emotions catch up to the rest of the world, that you'll have everything going in your system. You know, a best thing I can find that I do for myself is try to maintain some kind of homeostasis while other things are going this way and that way. So what if someone notices you that you don't want noticing you at work and you've been weepy for whatever reason or sniffly or whatnot? Well, you can just straight up fake allergies. Different people find themselves in work environments where they make themselves too vulnerable if they're visibly doing it. Female, male, doesn't matter. If you're seen having feelings in the workplace because you're supposed to leave your shit at the door. So this is the compromise I make with myself. All these little self-care things so that I can't leave my shit at the door. It won't stay there. So since it's coming in with me, I bring all my little tools with me to help me hopefully keep myself together from 9 to 4:30. And then we try it again the next day. And I measure it as I get home. I'll text Mark, done with work. I get the reassuring yay with the exclamation point. I came home, opened the door, the cat's here. We reconfirmed, yay, we made it through another day. You and me, we're in this together. You know, we got this. I come home and I open up a Diet Pepsi because that's what I love. I put on something with an elastic waist really quick. And I choose carefully what media I'm going to consume. I toe the line when you get like falling into your phone. My sleep hygiene isn't too bad. Good sleep is essential for every bit of high performance anything. So sleep hygiene before you'll even start that day is something to definitely pay attention to. Watch the blue screens. If you can avoid looking at the phone in the middle of the night, try to put it down and just leave it there. Your body will thank you for not getting sucked into it. An alarm is good for me because it keeps routine. So I have this phone that I'm not looking at far away from me, so when the alarm goes off, I have to pick up and go get it and start the day. So I have to stand at least a little bit. I can't just lay there and hit snooze with it. All these little things kind of piece together how to do my daily shtick without falling apart. And this was a lot of trial and error over a long period of time. And sometimes all the preparation and all the self-care and all the comfy clothes and Diet Coke, you still just, it's too much. If it becomes too much and you have the options available, I think taking a sick day for one's mental health is perfectly acceptable and underused. Just saying. Now, like any other sickness, if you're going to stay home a few days, you got to make a call to a doctor. First of all, HR will say something. Also, you want to find out what's wrong. If you feel bad for a few days in a row with any sort of illness, you'd call a doctor, and if they couldn't help, you'd get a specialist. So just to be open-minded to a lot of different options for taking care of ourselves. You know, I mentioned medication is one of the things I use. I take it daily. I might take it for the rest of my life. I might not. We'll see if science catches up. I'm taking about half as much as I used to as far as the number of medications, and just in the last month came off another one. And things have been okay. Things have been relatively stable. I've been up and about and moving. So I'm trying to set myself up for success before I even get out the door, before I get in my own head and the waterworks start when I'm heading in. So those are just the tips and suggestions that I was able to come up with for things I do to prep myself for the workday, to get through the workday, and then to kind of celebrate when I get home. They say don't reward yourself with food or substances or anything like that, and I would say that's probably a good idea. But if you want to have something you like that's a little bit tasty, if you want to have the chicken tetrazzini, which Mark made last night, was ridiculously good, or you want to have, you know, plain oatmeal with shaved apple, you can have whatever tickles your fancy, whatever makes you feel good. As long as you get your nutrition in, it can taste however you want. So bottom line, as long as we can do whatever we need to do, as long as we take care of ourselves most of the time. Every once in a while, I fall into an Ophelian heap because that's how we do. But fortunately, I have people to talk to. I have y'all to bounce things off of. If you're new, welcome. I'm Steve. And just try to create a space here where you guys can be easy. Try to make sure I have a comment section, because YouTube is like a second job. It takes up that much time. There's a small amount of income tied to it. And I have an interest in whether or not you guys like the videos you're watching and whether or not you like us creating them. So having a little second gig actually gives me a chance to be creative in ways that my first job doesn't. It's a fun thing to do. It's a project for Mark and I to do, so that helps our relationship. Of all the things people can't do together, he and I can work together pretty much okay. Of all things. For a couple, we're fine. So that's an extra benefit. Not everyone has. I'm very fortunate to have a husband. So thank you all for joining me tonight. I hope you had a discussion with yourself about taking care of yourself. If you have any suggestions for self-care across the board, feel free to leave them in the comments below. The list cannot be long enough for ways to take care of ourselves. If you had a weepy day at work, it's okay. Think of how many days you didn't. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. And you've gotten through 100% of your hard days so far. So here's hoping. So thanks for watching. Please do subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll get alerts when we have new videos and go live. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Contact info is below. Thanks, and we'll catch up with you very soon. Probably tomorrow night for a chit chat. It's Friday night, so hopefully see you then. Hey from Mark, and we'll catch up with you soon. Bye!